Hi, I'm Nick Chitwood. I'm an administrator in the Assessment, Accountability, and Continuous Improvement Unit here in the Ed Services Division.
Hi, I'm Kristen Brooks, Executive Director with the Supporting Inclusive Practices Project out of the Student Programs and Services Division.
My name is Steve Leland. I'm a building supervisor for Riverside County Office of Education main building for Operations Support Services.
My name is Feliciana Rodriguez. I'm a program assistant working in the Division of Alternative Education, Student Program and Services.
Hi, my name is Melissa Reynoso. I am the Executive Director's Secretary in Alternative Education for the Division of Student Programs and Services.
Hi, my name is Julie Drago, and I'm the Teacher on Special Assignment for English Language Learners through the Alternative Education Department. Specifically, I work with the English Language Learners through CBK Charter School.
This is an easy question. I love the people I work with and the impact we make across the state.
I like it because it's meaningful and we're actually making a positive difference in the life and the future of children.
One of the things that I think about a lot is Riverside County has more kids than like a third of the states in the country. So we have this sort of broad ability to make a difference for a lot of kids. And I think sometimes we think, oh, it's just Riverside County, but we're bigger than some states. So I think that's really awesome.
The thing I love most about my job is that I get to work with a variety of different students.
I especially love seeing the progress of my EL students when they feel like they can't write a paragraph and then they go on to write 5 paragraphs and they feel confident in it. And then the other thing I love about my job is, of course, the friendships that I have with my peers.
I work with a diverse group of people, and I love that everyone shares their story with me and that I can always encourage and provide any information they might need.
What I love most about my job is my boss. It's just really nice to have that support person where we help each other out. I know that I am to support her at all times, but she will always come up to me and say, what can I do to support you? So when you have that working relationship and you're both there for the same reason of assisting our students and helping them with what they need, it's a beautiful thing.
My coworkers here at RCOE make me a better employee because just the high caliber of folks that walk in the door every day here.
We all have our expertise and what we're good at, so it's just really nice to be able to rely on one another.
It's all about teamwork. As a former athlete playing soccer for 33 years, teamwork is ingrained in me, and it takes many people and many talents to make any program or lesson successful.
We all collaborate together. We're comfortable as a team. We feed off of each other's energy to work with students.
Once they realize what they do is important and they start showing that pride in what they do, it just makes me want to work harder.
By challenging me to be my best and to continue to give more and more each day. We often say, what's next? We're never done, it's what's next.
My first ever job was working as a barista in a coffee shop. I was 16, I worked in the mall. It was by far the most fun job that you could have. It was just dealing with the public a lot and making drinks and socializing and having a good time. And it's still like that job that like me and my friends like still talk about to this day. Like, God, remember the coffee shop days? So it was a really good time.
My first ever job, I was 15 years old, and I worked at a company called Pastabilities. It was an Italian restaurant in Redlands, and I was probably working under the table and shouldn't have been, but I loved making pizzas and pastas in the back and just having my first work experience.
My first job ever was working at Knott's Berry Farm. My job was to work in food service. I started as a cashier and then ended up as an assistant supervisor before I finished my college. What I loved about the job is the relationships, of course. And the other thing that I loved was learning leadership skills and different strategies for dealing with a lot of different personalities. The one thing I didn't care for working at Knott's Berry Farm is that I worked in food service, so we always smelled like French fries and hamburgers, so my whole car would smell like French fries and hamburgers, so that was kind of gross.
Very first job was a paper boy. I'd get up at 3:30, get on my bike, something you guys probably don't know nothing about, ride it down to the station house, to drop off the papers, unwrap them, then I'd fold, stuff them, band them, put them in my backpack, and put them on my bike and go do my route. The thing I liked the best about my first job, some of my customers wanted their papers on the porch. So when you're on your bike and you're riding down the street and you throw that paper and you hit that porch, oh man, it was great. It was like hitting a three-point shot. Exactly. And then it felt so good, I started putting the papers on everybody's porches, which they loved. And it just made the job more fun.
It's not easy, Rob, while riding a bike, right? Or did you stop and then toss it?
Oh no, I tossed it from the bike. It took a while to get good, but I got good.
When I was in my early 20s, I worked in an emergency room department, starting off as an EMT, and then I moved on to work as a scrub tech, scrubbing in during C-sections and labor and delivery. It was an amazing job. I loved working with patients and the people, and I just loved that we never knew what was going to happen at any moment, and I love that type of environment, just being off the cuff, and that was like a great experience for me personally.
My first ever job, it's funny because these are all so random, is for a company called Total Rebound. And what Total Rebound was a corporate event planning company for team building. If you've ever had like a bouncy castle at a kids event or something like that, we did that except for corporations. So we would have huge slides. The most fun one was a giant blow-up sumo ring, and we would blow up the costumes and people would go and fight each other in them, and it was supposed to be for team building. So what I got to do is I got to help set up this equipment, man the event, and it was a pretty fun job, right? Like in some ways it was play, but it was pretty hard work. The rolled up bounce houses are huge. And so there was some pretty heavy labor involved, but it was a pretty neat first job for a kid.
My coworkers. I feel like we are just this great group of friends. We help each other when times are hard or we're feeling overwhelmed, and it's like we know that we can just go to one another and be like, oh, can I vent for 3 minutes to you? And then once you vent, you're good, you're back to what you're doing, and it's just that whole sisterhood that we just have each other's backs and we're able to help each other out.
My coworkers and my principals and my administration, because they'll lift me up, they'll build up my confidence. But most importantly, my students help me stay in the moment and to focus on them and to realize it's just a day and we'll get through it. And I end up forgetting about whatever's bothering me and end up having a good day.
What keeps me going is the diverse population that I work with. I work with students from within a correctional facility to the everyday average person that is just trying to further themselves within their job. What drives me is knowing that I get to be a small part of where they want to be in their future.
I think the thing that gets me through tough days at work is knowing the impact that we have. The work is complex, but to the extent that I can take that complexity and make it simpler for someone else, right? If I spend an hour on a project, maybe I'm saving 30 or 40 people that same hour they would have had to take to track that down. So I think that's one of the things that I keep in mind is that while the work is hard, the people at districts and school have very hard jobs too. And so if I can make it a little bit easier, then it helps to push through those moments.
To be perfectly honest, my faith first and foremost. And then to have people to look up to, like, Dr. Gomez, that's encouraging to see him at work every day. And, it inspires you to want to work a little harder. So that kind of gets me through.
By far, it's my family. My husband and my 2 sons, they are my motivation for everything I do. Every morning I wake up and every task I complete, I just do it all for them.
My best advice that I would give to my coworkers is to always remember why you became a teacher, that our students are first. That is why we create the lessons we do. That's why we get up and go to work. It's because they are our why.
The best advice I could give to other fellow RCOE workers is just come with your A game to work every day.
To keep in mind that what they do is actually making a difference in children's lives down the road.
It's advice that I was given when I started here. I'm in my early 20s, don't know anything about working in an office setting, and I was told, talk to everyone. Network, find out what people do, make sure you're known in this organization. And I mean, that was the best advice I have ever received.
Remember that education at its heart is a people business. We need to cultivate trust with the people we work with. We need to take the time to show that we'll follow through on the things we're going to commit to them. Without that sort of connection that we make with each other and our districts, then our ability to impact is less than I think we would like.
This work is not easy. It's a very heavy lift, but it's all worth it in the end for our students. So just stay humble, kind, give grace, and just continue to do better and ask what's next. Oh gosh,
So, not like super embarrassing.
There's been a few.
Is Mr. Chitwood going to get arrested?
So I was working on a house one day. Now, mind you, a house has walls all the way around it, several walls. I was drilling into the wall, and out of all these walls, I managed to hit the pipe. And the water just squirted in my face and got all over the place, and I'm running around trying to turn it off. So that was probably the worst day and the most embarrassing.
One of the first things you learn in the operating room is when you stand there gowned completely with all of your protective equipment, you have to keep your legs out of bend or you'll get dizzy, hot, and start sweating and may pass out. So this was my first time without my trainer. She was off to the side just in case. And of course, I stood over the patient, passing instruments to the doctor. I locked my knees throughout the time and I started to feel all the things that they said I would feel. I felt dizzy, very sweaty. I started to shake uncontrollably. So they had me step aside, get off the stool before I fell, and walk away. So that was pretty embarrassing. I was trying to be super confident and it just didn't work out that day.
I'll go back to the one at Knott's Berry Farm because we had a bunch of teenagers running a food shop. So of course we had soap, grease all over the floor. And we had to wear these nursing shoes that had no tread on them at all. And I remember one time getting the pizza out of the oven, I was all bubbly and talking to my friends. I walked around the corner and I slipped and the pizza's on the ground. I look up, all the employees are looking at me and all the people at the window, all the guests were looking at me. It was super embarrassing. So what I did was I kind of faked a little bit of a limp so that they wouldn't be laughing at me and they would say, "Oh, are you okay? Are you okay?"
Story time. And this maybe happened 3 years ago. So if you know me, I'm just like, what you see is what you get. I'm not like very much different from work Melissa to home Melissa to out Melissa. Like, I'm just Melissa. So I'm walking in from lunch and I have like my purse, I have my cup, and I'm walking in to the office and Dr. Gomez and Dr. Perez are walking out. And so instead of being like, "Oh, good afternoon, hi," no, I straight said, "Hey," and walked inside. Who does that?
I was at the gym. This wasn't that long ago, and it was actually after work. And students from probably 20 years prior came up to me. So there I am, all sweaty and disgusting from the gym. And they're like, "Hey, do you remember us?" And they were students that I had who were fluency students. I used to be a speech pathologist, and we did a walkathon for the National Stuttering Association. And it was covered by the news. And so it was in the newspaper, and the students said that they still, to this day, have the newspaper clippings by their bedside. So embarrassing that I was caught in the gym, but very heartwarming because they remembered all these years later how much of an impact that was.
I was a high school band teacher, and my very first job, and when you're a teacher in your very first job, you are super excited. So we have our first football game, and it's against the crosstown rivals. Like, it's a big deal football game. And unfortunately, we lost that game. And afterwards, as we're playing the fight song, these angry fans from our own team start kind of pushing through where the band was performing. To put it lightly, I did not react positively to this moment. So I did have a heated conversation with the individual pushing through my students. It was a little embarrassing because my poor drum major, who's the leader of the band, student leader, is just, what do I do? So the drum major quietly gets the band to the buses, and as they're waiting on the bus for me, they told me later, like, is Mr. Chitwood gonna get arrested? And suffice it to say, I was not arrested. I was able to continue my education career, but it was embarrassing to the extent that those poor students were worried. I mean, I don't regret defending my kids against people who were not respecting the performance they were trying to give, but boy, that's not a great thing to do to students your very first football game.
Receiving this award means that somebody noticed that I love what I do, and they appreciated it, and they appreciated me. That acknowledgement is a great feeling, especially coming from people that I look up to, admire, and respect.
To know, like, you're being recognized for the hard work that you do every single day, it was an honor, and it just made me feel like, I don't know, just good. It made me feel happy and just appreciated.
It's nice to be recognized for my passion and for my abilities in teaching and working with students and all the hard work I put into it. It's nice to be recognized by your peers and your administrators. But most importantly, I have two boys, Tyler and Trevor, 24 and 27. And it doesn't matter how old they are, the fact that when I got to share this with them, that they were so proud of me just made it all just even better. And they're never too old to be proud of their mom or to look at me as a role model.
It means that all the hard work that I put into my job every day is recognized by people that I respect. To even nominate me, to make me feel like I am doing something that makes a difference in other people's lives is a huge compliment to what I do. And I just think it's a great opportunity for my kids to see that just putting your best foot forward as far as relationships at your workplace, relationships, building them with students that you work with or that I work with. It's just a great example to them to see that your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. So it means a lot to me.
It's meaningful to me in that regard that it sort of shows that my work has impact, I guess. The other thing is that I hope that it's an opportunity for us to think about, as an organization, how can we push this work forward, right? There's a lot of great things we've done. We're a leader in the state when it comes to our partnerships with District on Data, and I want to see that work just continue to thrive and expand and to really make a difference for the students out there.
This award is humbling, first of all, and I'm very grateful for it. And I think it just reminds me that maybe I'm doing the right work that I was called to do. And so it definitely motivates me, keeps me going, but this award is about my team. You can't do this alone, and I'm just so grateful to be working with the people I work with and have the support I have and the ability to be innovative and create change and impact for students.